Crack open a tepid Genesee and watch the pictures as they travel through your neighbor's Wi-Fi. It's the Rees Company. I'm Steve Rees, the bull of American broadcasting, alongside the great Chris Morganti. Very excited this week. Tonight's movie of the week is Meat Loaf, To Hell and Back. And but first, we have some other things to discuss. Mainly, Chris, you made a discovery recently of an actor who I had never heard of.
Well, I'd never heard of him either. But he had a very interesting name, and that's what brought him to my attention.
Okay, how did you find this guy?
Well, I met his grandson, but his grandfather's name is Asshole Stewart. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting.
Now, how do you spell his first name?
Athol. How else would you spell asshole?
And that's how it's pronounced?
Yeah, as far as I know, it is, and that's what I'm going with. But I mean, how else would you pronounce it if that's the spelling? It makes you wonder. And this guy was born in, I believe, 1863, something like that. Mm-hmm. Was asshole not a term back then?
Probably not.
It can't. There's no way you would name your kid that if it was called an asshole. What did they call it back in Victorian times? We'll need to do some research for next week's show to figure out what they used to call an asshole, or if his parents just hated him. I don't know. But
maybe he's the reason it's called that.
Maybe. He does kind of look like the guy that locked Frosty the Snowman in the greenhouse.
Okay.
So maybe he was an asshole. Who knows?
So they just went with that as the general term.
I suppose. But yeah, I met his grandson, Asshole Stewart III. Yeah. You see, he comes from a long line of assholes.
Right.
But that's enough of that. You notice I trimmed my beard this week, Steve? Yeah. I thought about going just down to a mustache, but then I thought, no, I'll look like an asshole. But it reminded me of another funny name, a story that you told me a couple weeks ago about a guy named Bill Ding.
Oh, yeah. This is... This involves pro wrestling. They had a creative meeting, and one of the writers, and I think it was somebody who was on the performance end.
Okay,
he wanted to be involved in the creative process, so
Sure.
They let him in on the meeting, and he suggested a character called Bill Ding, the evil architect.
Do you think they let him in on many more creative meetings after that?
I don't think they did.
Now, Steve, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between an evil architect and a merely incompetent architect?
Because it depends on one's intentions.
Well, either way, the building's going to fall down, right?
Well, maybe he's perfectly proficient as an architect,
right?
But when he's off the clock, that's when he really.
I feel like the end result is kind of the same.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, I like the idea of blaming your incompetence on being evil, though. Like I might start calling myself an evil podcaster. So.
Should we tell the folks about the sign?
Yes.
We encountered yet another strange sign.
Yeah.
Actually,
at the same place as the last one.
Right. We were standing in the same spot.
Yeah.
When we noticed this one. It's for a place called, I have it right here.
Gus's, I think it was.
Yeah, Gus's Auto Service, automotive maintenance. And you can see there in the middle, it says, since 3.
Yeah, that's a long time.
A very long time.
Yeah.
Managed to stay in business. I guess the first 1900 or so years where business was kind of slow.
Yeah, pretty lean.
But then picked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got in on the well below the ground floor. I don't know what you would call that.
A lot of forethought there.
So anything else you want to talk about before we talk about Meatloaf?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. In that case, let's do our movie of the week. Okay, our movie of the week this week is Meatloaf, To Hell and Back. Now, in two ways, Chris. This film's different from any other we've discussed.
Right.
This one was made for cable. Now, we usually avoid made-for-cable movies because a lot of those, especially the ones made for HBO, they tend to be of cinematic quality.
Yeah, or just really cheap and bad knockoffs like you see on the Sci-Fi Channel or something like that.
Right. And those are also made for repetition, whereas network TV movies were just, if you miss them on the night, you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
So that disposability lends itself to retrospective analysis in a way that most cable movies do not.
Right.
This movie was released much later than our second most recent film that we've discussed, which was The Deadly Justice of Dr. Willis. That debuted in 1991. To Hell and Back aired in 2000.
Right.
And it's based on To Hell and Back, the autobiography of rock singer Meat Loaf. Now, I'm a casual Meat Loaf fan, and I have the same two albums everyone has. And I like them a lot, but I'm by no means an expert. So how much of this movie is fact versus myth, I won't be able to discern. Now, Chris, you have a different attitude toward Meat Loaf.
I love meatloaf. I like it, like with some tomato paste on top, or like in a sandwich. I do not like the show-tune-y crap that this singer puts out, with maybe a couple exceptions. I like his "Anything for Love" song.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think I owned it as a single, but maybe the only single I ever owned. I don't know,
But pretty much you're an active Meat Loaf avoider.
Yeah, it's just too show-tuney for me, and most show tunes I don't like. I'm not a Broadway fan for the most part, so it never struck me as being that entertaining.
And right before the show, Chris did tell me that he watched the whole movie, but he skipped past the songs because he didn't want to be subjected to them.
Yeah. Also, we can't play them on the show, so
and there's also
really no point.
Well, I'm not sure how much of this we're going to get into, so I want to just give a brief overview of Meat Loaf's life and career. He's born Marvin Aday in Texas. His father is an abusive drunk, and his mother has cancer. She dies early in this film. Now, Meat's a big kid, and he struggles with his weight and is bullied mercilessly at school and hilariously at home. We're about to see some of that. He goes on to pursue musical theater and makes it to Broadway in Hair. He also auditions for a young, ambitious songwriter called Jim Steinman. Now, Jim has written a cycle of songs he calls Bat Out of Hell, and he needs a powerful voice to deliver the vocals. Meat Loaf fits the bill. He and Steinman pitched the project to record labels, but to no avail. No one seems to believe there's a market for an album whose concept seems to be, what if Andrew Lloyd Webber and Bruce Springsteen wrote a musical about kids boning? After many rejections, they finally find a small label who's interested in making the project. Bat Out of Hell becomes a huge success, making Meat Loaf a star. He falls in love, gets married, starts a family, but he struggles with fame and begins to drink. This affects his voice, which delays the recording of the follow-up LP, and results in lawsuits, a bankruptcy, a years-long rift with Jim Steinman. All the while, Meat continues recording and touring with moderate success, mainly in Europe. Stateside, he gradually builds back his audience he earned through Bat Out of Hell. He and Steinman reconcile, and they conceive Bat Out of Hell 2. And together, they reach a professional milestone. Now,
I wish you'd called me maybe like Tuesday, Wednesday night and told me what you just told everyone, and then I would have not watched this movie. I think you just summarized everything.
So should we just not talk about the movie at all?
No, there were some interesting parts.
No, I did that for a reason, because I want people to be aware, because we're not going to jump around, but we're going to jump ahead.
Okay.
Very frequently in this discussion.
Okay.
So that's the context for everything you're going to see. The lead role in To Hell and Back is played as an adult by a guy called W. Earl Brown, who you'll probably recognize from 1,000 things. But I remember him best as Cameron Diaz's mentally handicapped brother in There's Something About Mary.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize you just said that.
Yeah, that's who he is. So,
now, is he doing the singing in this?
He is not.
So those are original recordings, right?
Original recordings in the cases, I believe, when he's a cappella. That's the same guy who did the
Burger King commercials?
No, the Michael J. Fox's singing voice in Back to the Future.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. So here we go. Here's Meat as a youngster having a catch with his dad.
Now, before we start this, I just want to point out that I backed this clip up a few seconds so that we can see that this is actually a flashback of sorts.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're led to believe in the first scene, which is a concert performance scene, that he gives so much on stage that apparently he comes back and falls into some sort of fit where he needs an oxygen mask.
Yeah, so he leaves it all on the stage, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. So I backed it up a few seconds so we could see that and just really realize this is all a flashback in his mind.
Yeah, there's a match dissolve.
Can you hear me? Try to breathe. Hey, Meat. Meat. Meat.
Meat! What is it with you, boy? You trying to be some kind of hotshot or something?
No, I just wanted to show you.
Because you're not. I tell you that right now. Whatever stupid-ass dreams you got in that big old head of yours, you better get rid of them quick.
Or play center field like Mickey Mantle.
Big old fat boy like you? Don't be an idiot, son. We're nothing, Meat. Okay? The sooner you get that, the better off you'll be.
Don't call me that, okay?
What? Meat? I call you meat? That's what you are, boy. Big old tub of meat. Try to be something you're not.
Wes?
Go see about your mother.
She's calling you.
You do like I tell you. I've had about enough of your smart mouth.
At least his dad's leaving. He's out of his hair. Oh, no. Boom.
Oh, that might have hurt almost.
Yeah, he added a little more to the... he added some injury to insult.
Yeah.
So that's what he's dealing with at home. Part of me thinks, though, yeah, but at least you had a catch with your dad.
Yeah. And, and the dad had a hip flask in his pocket.
So things aren't any easier for Meat Loaf at school.
Right. Now, this next scene is him in gym class playing a game we've all played, I need to point out.
Yes.
Called dodgeball.
All right, boys. Ready? Fire! Ready? Fire!
Get the fat kid, you can't miss him!
That's how you played it, right? The gym teacher telling you when to throw the ball. Ready, fire. Right? And then both teams turn on the fat kid.
Under supervision.
Yeah. So here's where I chose this clip, Steve.
Okay.
I need to point out that this is not how anyone in the world has ever played dodgeball. So the fact that this is a flashback leads me to believe that Meatloaf in this story is an unreliable narrator, which makes me call into question everything we see from here on out.
He lacks credibility.
Do you think he really had his dad tell him that he's nothing? And, who knows? Who knows if any of this is true? So it makes me question everything moving forward.
Okay, well, I hope you still enjoy the rest because we have a long way to go. Speaking of dodgeball, about a decade ago, I noticed a trend of hipster nerds starting and joining dodgeball leagues.
Yeah,
Did you notice that?
Yeah, kickball leagues too.
And kickball.
Yeah.
But I thought dodgeball was particularly interesting because to hear them tell it, dodgeball in gym class was the bane of their existence.
Okay.
And then I realized why they were so into it as adults. They wanted to relive gym class and play dodgeball, but with the jock element removed.
Right.
Babies. So, Meatloaf's mother misses a day. She succumbs to her illness. And at the funeral, Meat is very emotional. Afterward, his father confronts his son about how his unabashed grieving embarrassed him.
Sure.
We're one clip ahead, Jim.
So, well, Jim,
1337. Oh. Okay.
so we're starting after the funeral?
Yeah.
Because he really was a blubbering baby. He was like picking her up out of the coffin. You can't pick the corpse up out of the coffin. It's clearly inappropriate funeral behavior.
Do you want to go back?
I don't care.
We can.
Oh, is that a knife?
Yeah. Okay.
Just say goodbye and let the others have a chance. She's gone.
She's not. No, she's not.
Oh, creepy.
You think that's over the top?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it says something that everyone stood up as soon as he did it.
Meat, come on, son.
Dude. Yeah.
Just let it go.
Dude, take it easy.
So you're saying Meatloaf may have fabricated some of his material?
Yeah.
Yet, why would he put that in?
To show that he's very emotional and missed his mother very much. But I believe, you know, if you pick up a corpse at a funeral, I just don't believe that that happened. For all I know, those things are bolted down into the coffin. I don't know. I've never seen anyone try to pick one up.
I'm sure they would be very rigid. There'd be a great deal of difficulty, but he's meat.
Right, yeah.
So, I don't know. Okay, so let's see Meatloaf's dad's reaction to the display at the funeral.
You're pretty smart, don't you?
Leave me alone.
It's not my fault. You hear?
It's not my fault. You're crazy. You're nothing. You're nothing. You'll always be nothing. You are never going to do that to me again. Do you hear me? I am getting the hell out of here, just like me and Mama should have years ago.
You're nothing. You're nothing. You're just like me.
I am not like you. And I'll prove it.
Jack Black is Steve Rees in theaters and on demand. So during his run on Broadway, Meat auditions with Jim Steinman. Now, again, he's the guy who wrote Bat Out of Hell.
Sure.
They form a partnership. They hire a manager and shop Bat Out of Hell to labels. They suffer repeated rejection, which really ruffles not only Meatloaf's feathers, but every shirt he owns. Let's see the final straw.
That's enough. You guys ever listen to the radio?
Come on, Vince. We know this stuff is different.
Different? These songs are from Mars. Jim, look. Songs follow form. You got verse, chorus, maybe a bridge. You guys got verses, choruses, bridges, tunnels. I don't know what you're writing, man. And you. You're an actor. Actors don't sing rock. You're Ethel Merman. Or Robert Goulet. So just do yourself a favor. Stay on the stage.
Vince, just a minute, will you? Just give us a chance.
And you, Davey, don't quit your day job.
Is it the lawyer turned manager?
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Our 23rd pass, if my count's not off. I wonder if people are creating new record companies just so they can reject us.
Ethel Merman? Huh? Robert Goulet? Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that didn't cause more trouble than it was worth.
Oh.
Jeez. So the trio, the manager and Jim Steinman and Meatloaf, they decide to record the record independently. They find a studio and a producer. But if you wanted to know who that producer was when this movie aired, you'd better have had high-speed dial-up or the liner notes ready.
Is there enough motorcycles in there for you?
I want a little more. This management gig is easy. Maybe I should have quit being a lawyer.
So who do you think's gonna buy this mambo jumbo?
Well, there's a market out there for 10-minute explosive Wagnerian anthems sung by a 300-pound guy with a huge voice, and we got that market cornered.
Yeah, this film makes some odd choices. Now, the man leaning on the console with the guitar,
Right.
he's supposed to be Todd Rundgren,
Okay.
who produced Bat Out of Hell. Now, it can be said that Todd Rundgren needs no introduction, but this film takes that literally. Meatloaf does call him Todd once, but there's no spelled out indication that our rock legend Todd Rundgren is anywhere near this album, and we never see him again. If you didn't know he worked on it, which is a significant fact, you wouldn't learn it from watching this film.
Yeah.
And much of this film is about Bat Out of Hell.
Well, it goes to my theory where this is all about Meatloaf's interpretation of his life, where he's minimizing the contributions of others to inflate his own.
All right. If he did, I don't think he wrote this himself. It's based on the book he wrote.
Right.
But if the scene we're about to see in just a moment.
Okay.
In the scene where I have another theory about Meat Loaf. If he influenced the dialogue,
okay,
the conversation in this next scene. But anyway, not saying things, not telling the audience things the audience needs to know. That's a problem this movie keeps having, and we'll see it again. It assumes that all the audience has a doctorate in picking meatloaf. So the studio where they're making the record is managed by a gal called Leslie. Meatloaf takes a liking to her. He asks her out, and she agrees. Let's hear this conversation.
You never seen your dad again?
No, never will.
But that's so sad, though. I mean, you never see your family.
Not really. Dad never wanted a fat kid for a son. I embarrassed him.
First date.
I don't know what the big deal is. People come in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
I don't know if you've noticed, but my size is a little bigger than most people.
But it's you. And there's nothing wrong with being you.
My mama used to say that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I still talk to her sometimes. She comes to me in my dreams. Weird, huh?
Yeah, God forbid you write a song about that.
Not if it makes you happy.
What are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, nothing, I
Come into the
guess.
city. Me and Jim, we got a gig at the small club. It's gonna be great. It's sold out already, but you gotta come see me.
I don't know.
Come on, Pete. I'm not gonna let you say no.
Me. I have a little girl.
Jim's having fun.
She's 4 years old. Her name's Pearl.
Bring her.
Bye.
Really?
So the way this scene is written, the fact that Leslie has a daughter doesn't come up until Meatloaf already goes into staggering detail about his a-hole dad and dead mom. Oh, the audacity.
Yeah.
Leslie and Meat, they get railroaded, I'm guessing model railroaded, by love. They get married, and Bat Out of Hell is an autastic success. And Meat performs at Madison Square Garden, the LA Forum, and on the Philadelphia Spectrum. See what I'm laying down here? He adopts Leslie's daughter. Then one day, his new wife brings Meat a piece of news.
Oh, boy. I can't
wait,
imagine.
I wonder. Yeah, he brings Meat a piece of news, not the news a piece of meat. All right.
As headstrong as you are.
Yeah, loud too. Poor kid.
Guess where I was?
Bellevue booking me a room.
6 months on the road, I almost checked myself in.
I saw Dr. Brady.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm pregnant.
Now, I assume by him owning a pool and a hot tub, he's this is post-fame now.
Yeah.
Last we saw him, he had just gone into the studio, but now he's touring and famous.
Yes. As I said, we're going to jump ahead at various points. Through
Gotcha.
this. Okay.
Gotcha.
And that's also when he drowned her.
Oh, great.
That doesn't happen, of course, but hard times do befall the newlyweds. Lawsuits are piling up. I think they're mainly related to Meat's vocal troubles and inability to complete the next album or the second album in the time that he was supposed to. Is the movie really clear about that to you?
No, but the comments below the movie were very disappointed that they didn't focus on the albums in between those two Bat Out of Hells. Apparently there's a lot of deep cuts Meatloaf fans who watch this movie.
You know, and we should point out that we don't have a YouTube comment of the week for this one.
Yeah.
Because most of the ones I saw were things like, oh, man, R.I.P. Meatloaf. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, Meatloaf was so great. This is a great movie. Really enjoyed it. Watched this twice now. And other people saying, I've been binging a lot of Meatloaf lately. And I thought, well, doesn't that belong under Kate's Secret?
Make sure you shoplift it first.
So, the lawsuits may have to do with him not recording that second album fast enough.
But he's having vocal troubles. Is what
he's having vocal troubles, but he is continuing to make music.
Yeah, and that's probably why most people don't care about those albums, because you don't record albums when you're having vocal troubles. If you're a singer, right?
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't be ideal. The movie doesn't specify exactly what the lawsuits are over, and they don't think that information belongs on the screen. So there's a financial strain on the Aday household. Now, in this scene, Meatloaf's real-life daughter, the one Leslie just told him they were expecting, she makes a cameo appearance. This is his real-life daughter. She plays the cashier.
That'll be $32.16. Well, yes, the account's under Aday. I'll see Aday.
Of course, Mrs. Aday. It's just that account's been closed.
All right, let's see.
What should I do?
Well, it's easy. I give you the money, and you just give me the toothpaste, please. Thank you. Here you go. Thank you.
I hope everything turns out okay.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You know, Chris, seeing Meatloaf's daughter in this reminded me of something.
What's that?
I was once cast in my dad's life story.
Okay.
And strangely enough, you were cast as my father.
That is weird.
Yeah, I was supposed to play his campaign manager. In the early 90s, my dad ran for mayor of his hometown. My time on the set was short, though. I was fired on the first day for taking liberties with the dialogue. The footage has survived.
Okay.
Let's take a look. The final recount has been tallied. It's official.
All right.
They're going to verify it in the morning. You lost by 4 votes.
Oh, only 4 votes?
And not all for your opponent. There were a lot of write-in votes.
Hey, that's not in the script.
I'm glad you asked. I'd be happy to give you some examples. Here's a write-in vote for how about a guy who didn't run off to start a new family as though his old one never existed?
What are you doing?
Somebody voted for anybody who is willing to pay child support for his genius of a forgotten son who will also grow up to be very good-looking. I know it sounds like there might have been an inordinate amount of space to cast your write-in vote, but I think that's just in case anyone wanted to vote for Pele under his birth name. Here's a vote for Pele. It says, Pele, his proven leadership on the field and in the locker room have led to great success for club and country. Also, he's not cold, distant, stingy, and according to his own mother, a pathological liar. Didn't really require an essay. You know, it's still only the 20th century. We don't have to justify our vote yet.
Yeah, you know we can't use any of this, right?
Cut! Come on, man. So it turns out the only way to stop the lawsuits is to declare bankruptcy. Meatloaf is determined to get back on his feet, and Leslie is supportive. She takes their kids and they go there to her parents' house as the creditors have the house emptied of valuables.
It's okay, sweetie. We're just gonna watch Grandma's television for a little while, okay? Put your sister in the car. Let's get her buckled in.
Bye, Daddy.
Be good. I'll see you in a few weeks.
Where's she going? Our mom's.
We'll be at Mom's.
That was
The number's on the
impression.
counter.
When I get back, I'm going to make everything all right again. I'm going to get us a new place to live.
I don't care if we rent an apartment and live on macaroni and cheese. It's you I'm worried about.
Fine. I'm going to be back in a few weeks. Guess my dad was right. He always said I'd amount to nothing.
You know, honey, your father was just a man. A stupid man who did stupid things.
Well, sure looks like I've managed to lose everything I've worked for. He must have known something.
You have done more in your life than he could have ever imagined, honey. How long are you going to let the stupid things a drunk man said a long time ago ruin everything for you?
Oh, Andrea, just drive away, will you? Don't you know I have to write lame jokes about TV movies? This is by far, of all the movies, and I'll get into this in a bit, but of all the movies we've watched, this one I found the most personally relatable.
Oh.
But for the record, I do want to say that I never saw my dad drink. I didn't have the chance.
Yikes.
So Meatloaf, he's at a professional and personal low point. He goes to visit his father, and you remember what he finds in his dad's living room?
A ferret? Yeah, no. I guess that's clear. I don't remember.
Okay. He has basically a shrine to Meatloaf's achievements.
Oh, okay.
Posters and albums and all kinds of stuff. And that's what he finds in his dad's living room.
Singles?
Yeah. And they have a chat in the backyard.
You know, you could have called me. Would it have killed you to let me know you were proud?
What good was that to you, son? Just a dirty old drunk. There's a couple times I was going to send you a postcard, maybe, you know, tell you how good I thought you was doing, but I like that one song, 2 or 3.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, that's a catchy tune. But I figured you didn't need me telling you. You being so talented, you got this nice family and all.
You'd be surprised.
Chris?
I mean, this supports my theory that this is all made up in Meatloaf's mind. I mean,
you don't think this happened?
I don't think old drunks make these kind of mea culpa things to people that they've, harmed in their life.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
But I did read Bruce Springsteen's autobiography, and he had a strained relationship with his father, who was never fully behind him being a musician. And he also had undiagnosed mental issues.
Okay.
His dad did. So one day, and this was in the 90s, his dad drove for hours and showed up at Bruce's door, and they sat at the kitchen table and had some beers. And his father said, "You've been very good to us." And Bruce acknowledged that he had. And then his dad said, "I wasn't very good to you."
Oh.
And Bruce replied, "You did your best."
Well, that's very nice.
So it does happen. And I think for a lot of people who achieve great things or attempt to, whether that be playing music in front of a crowd of thousands or talking about TV movies for an audience of several, a lot of careers are predicated upon the desire to create that moment where the person who doubted you or abandoned you seeks your forgiveness. Most of us never get to live that moment. Bruce got to live that moment, and if Meatloaf is to be believed, he got to live that moment, and I hope he did. That would make me happy.
It would make me happy as well. As cynical as I'm being, I hope that did happen.
So years go by, and now it's the early 90s. Interest in a sequel to Bat Out of Hell is generated. Meat and Jim mend fences.
From what quarter was this interest generated?
Well, you know what happened. You remember what happened.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you remember that era.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember the era immediately preceding it, and I don't remember anyone ever saying, "Hey, when's there going to be a Bat Out of Hell 2?" But,
But did the results not prove that there was a market for this?
I only heard one song, so I don't know.
But I'm saying you remember that record being in the shops.
Oh yeah, it was a huge album.
Like
it was a huge album, and it reignited his career. He ended up making Fight Club after that. Well, I mean, he was in it. He
And
didn't make
Spice
it.
World.
Okay, there you go. So I believe he was also on The Apprentice with future President Donald Trump. So clearly he had a resurgence.
So, yeah, so he and Jim Steinman mend fences. Now, what broke those fences, the movie doesn't bother telling us. I think I think the seed might have been planted. It's kind of alluded to early on when the album comes out and Jim Steinman's name is in smaller print at the bottom than Meatloaf's.
Yeah, they were supposed to be a partnership.
Yeah. And perhaps...
By the way, that you can hear all of this on The Rees Company. Never mind. Keep going.
What was that?
Never mind. Not the Steve and Chris show. The Rees Company.
Well, just so people don't take that too seriously, because I do. It's when we talked about doing this. I like the name The Rees Company. It makes perfect sense. I've never done a show called The Rees Company, and it's always been right there. And I said, we can call it the Rees Company with Chris Morganti. And you said...
I said, no, don't do that.
Yeah, so
Just to be very clear.
I just want the folks to know that. Man, I'm sorry I was so slow on that. That's fantastic. So, yeah. So they get back together, and they make Bat Out of Hell 2. It gets a lot of attention, as does its lead single, your favorite, or I guess the one you find most tolerable.
No, I really like that song, actually.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Anything for Love, I believe it's called?
Yeah, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Is that the whole title?
Yes.
See, whatever.
That bothers you.
That's not a pop music title. That's a show tune title.
It's a 13-minute song. It's not a pop song.
Right. But, yeah, I guess, yeah.
So, Meat is again playing sold-out venues, and his daughter even becomes a backup singer.
Okay. Hope she does that better than she checks out groceries.
Well, that's the other one.
Oh, different daughter? Okay, all right. What should I do? Jesus. That's not your option as an employee to ask the customer, what do you want me to do? Do I just let you take all this stuff? You know what I would have done? You've seen The Godfather, right?
Yeah.
I would have swept all those groceries on the floor. Now clean it up. Carlo, is that who did that?
Yeah, probably.
You guinea brat. Anyway, that's how I would have played that role. They'd been like, what are you doing?
Well, Leslie, that's Meatloaf's wife. He's about to play or has just played to a sold-out room. I think he's about to. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
And someone comes and gets him and tells him that his wife appears to be in distress. So let's take a look at that.
Tell me, Shirley.
Dad, how was I? Was I okay? I know I missed that part where
You were great. Amazing.
Really?
Yeah. Can't tell you how proud I am you get too big a head.
I love you.
It's Leslie. She got a call. Now, I'm not sure. I think something's wrong.
Les? What is it?
She won't stop crying. I just feel so stupid.
What happened?
I just can't stop. It's the album, honey. We're #1. The album and the single are both #1.
What?
#1. This is so great.
You mean to tell me after 22 years I got a #1 record?
So apart from one final musical performance, that's how this film ends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would do anything for love. Gave Meatloaf his first Billboard #1 single. It would also be his only Billboard #1 single, but we didn't know that for sure until recently.
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, Meatloaf passed away in early 2022, and Jim Steinman predeceased him by almost a year. So anything else you'd like to say about this film before we review it?
No, can't think of anything.
Okay.
What's your rating on this?
Well, I'll get to that, but there are a few things I'd like to say first. This film reminded me of Private Parts, the Howard Stern biopic.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
Yeah.
It's impossible to portray 20 years of one's career and personal life without glossing over some of the nuance.
Yeah. I feel like Private Parts rang true to me because I had experienced so much of it as a listener of his radio show.
Okay.
It didn't feel to me like he was being braggadocious or, in fact, many of the scenes were self-depreciating. This felt totally different. But you're right in that it is similar. They were trying to summarize a rise to stardom and, whatever. And
yeah, you have to pick a few key elements and focus on only those.
Yeah.
And also, like Private Parts, a major arc is the story of the undying love between the subject and his wife. And you know what happened with Howard Stern's marriage?
It broke up like the year after the film was released.
And Meat and Leslie divorced about a year after this film debuted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
never make a film as a love letter to your wife.
Right. So I'm going to give it 4 Meredith Baxters.
Really? That high?
And I'll tell you why. For all its faults, it told a story that I found very relatable. As I said, I'm a casual Meatloaf fan, and I came out of this a much bigger one. I've heard that the true measure of a film is whether or not it does what it sets out to do. And this film was not made for people to downgrade their level of Meatloaf appreciation.
Right.
So it's only fair for me to rate it highly. And also, to be fair, and in accordance with the law, I want to make it clear that my father never beat me. He wasn't an addict. He simply wasn't there. And when he was, it was like staring into a nice sculpture. Any bit of warmth, he would have evaporated. Now, again, no YouTube comment of the week. What's your rating, Chris?
You know, I wasn't really going to rate it that highly because it didn't really resonate with me. But I see it had a deep resonation with you, and that leads me to believe that it's probably a pretty good film if you were able to have this kind of connection with it.
Well, in the same way that you said that's why you enjoyed Private Parts.
Right.
Because you related to it because you had experienced those things through your radio over the years.
Yeah.
And you were reliving them.
Yeah. So I'm gonna actually upgrade my rating, and I'm gonna go from 2 stars to 3 stars because I like that you liked it so much. So I'm gonna go with 3 stars.
What was your original reason?
I'm sorry, 3 Baxters. I keep saying stars because I have no sense of branding or show business.
Chris, I didn't even realize you said stars. For all I know, I did the same. But what was your reasoning for giving it only 2 to begin with?
I unlike you, I rate these pretty much just on how much I enjoyed them, and I'll take them up for bad direction, bad acting, bad writing, or down, up or down based on that. But it starts where how much I enjoyed them, and I feel this was just kind of middle of the road, acting and direction wise. So. That's an over-explanation of.
Okay, that's fine. I do want to say one more thing about Meatloaf before we move on. I try not to rely too heavily on Wikipedia for research when finding things out about these films, but I found this fact amusing. As I said earlier, Meatloaf was born Marvin Aday, but he didn't keep that name forever. Here's the explanation from Wikipedia. In 1984, Meatloaf legally changed his first name from Marvin to Michael, because he was haunted by a jeans commercial that said, "Poor fat Marvin can't wear Levi's."
Oh. Wow. You can imagine them making that commercial today? Now commercials seem to have nothing but fat people in them. Yeah. Once again, though, this film skipped over, parts of it. Because before he changed his name to that, he changed it to Asshole Stewart. So they left that part out.
Well, speaking of relatable things, Chris.
Right.
I know you wanted to talk about a certain pop star of today.
I did. And I wanted to lead us to the end of the show because the comedy ends here. And I didn't want anyone to... you can turn it off if you want, mid-rant. But I'm not one for celebrity gossip, Steve.
You don't like the hot goss?
I don't. But there's been something in the news recently that I can no longer ignore. And I feel compelled to comment on here tonight. And that is the ongoing saga of Kanye West and his, I guess, ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, or soon-to-be ex-wife. I don't know which is the case.
It's one of those things. Yeah.
Right. But I'm sure everyone has seen something about this. She's now dating comedian Pete Davidson, who's on Saturday Night Live. And just this week... he got banned from Instagram or Twitter. I don't know which. I'm not on either.
You're talking about Kanye.
Kanye did for like 24 hours. It was like a 24-hour ban. There's calls from people to make that ban permanent. There's also people protesting companies with whom he has endorsement deals. So when I see stuff like that going on, and I also see a transcript of an interview that Kim Kardashian did on, I believe, Ellen DeGeneres' show. Is that still a show?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It could have been anything. But I see her saying, so why this divorce? Which she initiated. We need to make that clear. She initiated this divorce. Why? She said that she no longer was interested in traveling and supporting his career. Now, Steve, to be clear, we're talking about the career of one of the most successful recording artists of his generation.
Right.
Which she has lost interest in. So why not get a divorce and start a new family and separate him from his children? And it bugs me that Kanye is being portrayed in the media as somehow a lunatic and the bad guy out of this scenario, solely because he's upset that he can't see his fucking kids anymore and doesn't have a family anymore. It seems like people aren't looking at things in I would say an equal way, but it seems like they're looking at them the wrong way. I don't know.
Now, have you seen the music video where I don't think he decapitates Pete Davidson, but he has some sort of Davidson effigy that he buries?
Okay.
And people are disturbed by that. They considered it a possible threat.
Right. Well, it's certainly not parody or satire or a man who's just a little pissed off.
Right.
And is taking it out on an inanimate object.
Right.
No, let's drag, let's make a big deal out of this. And
well, because it's bullying, to be honest, Chris.
It really? Isn't it bullying to take a man's children away from him? Somehow that's okay. But God forbid you beat up a stuffed animal. I mean, there's no sense of proportion in any of this, man.
Right.
Like, why? That's what bugs me, man. There's just no sense of proportion to any of it. If anyone who's trying to get Kanye canceled, like, what? For what? For what? He's done nothing other than complain. And because he's a public figure, his complaints are public. I've made all the same complaints Kanye's making in private. And as private as this show is, I guess I made a few on here. I have a little bit of empathy towards Kanye, if you haven't already guessed. But it just seems like he's not really the one in the wrong here. And by the way, Kim Kardashian, her father was also a piece of shit. He got double murderer O.J. Simpson off for killing 2 people. So, all right, whatever. That's the end of my rant. I would hope anyone who sees these stories in the news about them has a little bit more
compassion,
open mind about
right
what might be going on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's refreshing to hear another take on it because you are right. You don't hear anybody, or very few people saying, wait a second here.
I've heard no one. I've heard
people are losing their minds.
I've heard Trevor Noah, host of The Daily Show, criticizing Kanye. Where is he? Why is he wading into this? Why would anyone get involved in this for no reason? And then I see, in that same interview, Kim Kardashian saying, well, I'm just trying to do what's right for my kids. Okay, that's what you're doing when you ended your marriage and broke up your family because you didn't feel like traveling anymore. Okay, all right. I've said enough. I've said all I need to say, Steve.
Well, I'm grateful for your refreshing take on the subject.
Yeah.
Anything we didn't talk about you might want to talk about?
No.
Okay. In that case, join us next time. Thanks for joining us this time. Aski Wiwi.
Aski Wawa.
Holy Magano.
Tigers.
Eat 'em raw. We did it, Seth. Oh, I have to go now. I just got a call that in the near future, my own son is going to murder a guy with an antique firearm over a parking space.